Right, let's see if it works this time. So just now I tried to do a member stream. Nobody came on for the first couple of minutes, so I ended it. And I saw Brighthop said hello just as like the stream actually ended. But I'm assuming it didn't send a notification out, which would be standard of YouTube. So we'll see if anybody comes onto this one. But again, it does rely on people being notified that you're streaming, because if it doesn't notify people that you're streaming when you're on, then... Right, Brighthop, I saw you say oi just as the last stream closed, but you were the only person that turned up, so I'm assuming it didn't notify anybody. All right, Mike. So yeah, out of interest, Mike, did you get a notification for the stream I started 5 minutes ago, and you, Visa? Did you get a notification or not? Because I don't think it sent anybody a notification, because Brighthop came on just as I clicked end. Okay, so it did send it out. It just sent the notification out like 2 minutes late. Because there's no way of me knowing at my end until people come on. I just assume it's not done anything. Yeah. Oh, well, it's a public stream now. I was going to say, there's nothing interesting in the news today, really. I saw, well, I suppose, the Republicans, for politics, Republicans won, didn't they? A seat they don't normally win because of how bad Biden is. That's it. There's all the climate bollocks going on where they're not going to do anything except tax poor people for rich people jetting around. Right, Scott. But yeah, because there's a lot more people coming onto this one, even people that are members that weren't on the other one, I'm assuming, yeah, it was just a really late notification for most people, or no notification. Assume you did it safely then, Brighthole, did you? But yeah, so I've not got much to talk about, so people can chat about whatever really, within reason. But yeah, like I said, today's one of those days where I was hoping I'd have a day where I didn't have to do much, and I still had to get a load of jobs done. So just not paid for jobs. So today's been a bit, and it's meant to be a day off, and I'm still quite tired already because I had to get up at the beginning of the day to do some stuff, and then later in the day do some other jobs. So just to warn people, I won't be streaming tomorrow or Friday just because I've got too much on, and I want to get definitely a video uploaded Friday, so I'm just going to use the time Thursday night to probably edit it together. But most of the videos now for a while are going to be on like surplus type stuff again, just because of the fact that I can be a bit more motivated to do videos on those. The problem is sometimes when I want to do other types of videos, is like I keep going, oh, I don't like the way this is edited or whatever, and then I, do it. That's why the video that went on today is like over a week, a week overdue or whatever it was. Yeah, so does anybody have anything interesting to talk about? Because as I said, I've not really got anything interesting to talk about because the interesting stuff was already discussed on yesterday's members stream. But... all right, yeah. I'm almost tempted to have a rest, Mike, like a lay down, but I don't want to just in case I fall asleep too efficiently and then don't wake back up. So I've got a coffee, but I'm waiting for it to cool down enough so I don't burn my mouth on it. But yeah, like I said, today's just been one of those annoying days for me. I think a bit like you were saying yesterday, whatever it was, if you had a day where everything fucked up or whatever. It's like one of those days where, I had a load of jobs to do and then some of them I couldn't even do properly. So now I have to try again on a different day. And those sort of days really annoy me just because, obviously, for obvious reasons, if you want to get stuff done, it's nice to get something done and it be finished with. But not people in a public stream. The problem, obviously, with playing a game with people in stream is I'm bound by all the YouTube rules, so I can't risk people in the chat, like, yelling abuse at people or whatever. That sounds interesting, Brighton. All right, Rich? Hasn't it already become endemic at this point? As in, it's just going to stick around forever, where it will advance a bit and then, new vaccine will come out. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4, but what I've been playing even more of, which I bought in the Steam sale, was, I have to look up the name of it again. It's made by the people that made Men of War. Call to Arms. And what Call to Arms is, basically, is Call to Arms is basically like Men of War, but you can go into first-person mode on any of the soldiers or vehicles. So with Men of War, you can kind of go into like third person, but it's not that great. It's just kind of useful if you want to, like, make a unit manually walk somewhere rather than giving him a right click command. But yeah, this one's much better because obviously if you're playing as whatever soldier, you see their rifle and like the sight on it, so it's a lot more fun when you like trying to take out like enemy machine gun nests or whatever. That sounds good, Rich. I've already done one of those, Al Stinger. There's definitely a video of those up here somewhere, but most of this in here is junk, really, and it's not well organised. Yeah, you definitely should, Scott, because I bought it on the sale and then really got into it, especially when I got more into the first-person mechanics of it, because I think that's why it plays a lot better than Men of War, is when you're attacking positions, it's a lot more interesting because of the fact that, you can manually call in a soldier you like playing as, switch them in first person, like micromanage that soldier. Artillery is more useful as well because when you use the aiming mode of artillery, obviously it gives you like a top-down artillery mode. There's also a World War II version of that they've done, which I think is called Ostfront. So it's like obviously the Eastern Front, but I've bought that, but I've installed it but not played it yet. So that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, at the moment I've just been working loads, so it's when I'm not working, I just want to play video games for a couple of hours. I normally go to bed quite early at the moment, just because again it's yeah, I've played Gary's mod. I've done videos of Gary's mod on this channel. I'm starting to think now you're on purposely asking, will I do videos on stuff I've already done videos on? But yes, regarding COVID, I think it's going to be here like flu pretty much forever now, as in, there might now and again be a slightly more dangerous strain, but every year people are probably going to be given vaccines like flu boosters. It's just one of the laser ones where I was just shining it at the camera to see how much it dazzled the camera. Like, I knew it was a risk of burning it, but at least I can point to that now and say, look, there's a laser burn on the camera. Like I said, the more annoying thing is when people constantly go, like, there's dirt on your camera, clean it. I'm like, no, it's a laser burn. They're like, no, it isn't, it's dirt. It's like, I think I know, because I was the one that burnt the camera out. Yeah, good luck with that, Brighthole. Like, I don't really know what to say other than good luck, because, yeah. But I'm pretty sure it was the 2-watt blue one that did it. I mean, it's lucky there are people there, Scott. But yeah, it's one of those weird things, isn't it? Some people get it and it's just like a cold, and other people get really ill with it. Yeah, exactly. So when I had that on, I actually had goggles on. But yeah, it does show, yeah, that because I mean, there's some videos where lasers are used on cameras where you can actually see smoke coming out of the camera within a few seconds. I mean, if I put the laser on a dark surface, you see like smoke coming out within a few seconds. But yeah, is anybody here interested? I'll just ask now because I can go and get it quite easily now at the start of the stream. Is anybody here interested in the Royal Observer Corps book I was talking about on the members stream yesterday? Or people that didn't necessarily get on the members stream yesterday if they want me to go get it? Because that book was quite interesting. I've not read any more of it other than what I was looking at on the stream. But I thought that was quite interesting, some of the stuff, especially the one where it showed it flooded after they drained it, and then when it was redone, you couldn't even tell there was any damage done to it in the first place. Yeah, that medical one he's got is crazy, the one that's like a megawatt of power or whatever it is. I'll go get it, Scott, because like I said, my coffee is still at a temperature. I don't want to burn my mouth by drinking it, so I made it only like 2 minutes before the stream started. So I'll get the book again. Right, it had been moved, but I've got it now. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, it wasn't where it should have been because I knew where it was as of this morning, but my dad had tidied the room up, so he moved it to a pile of stuff, and then it was at the bottom of the pile. Is that the one I'm thinking of, Brighto? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, like the megawatt medical one, where it's on a big machine, but yeah, it's like a little gun. Yeah, let's see if I can find that particular one again. It's quite interesting showing the construction of it, though. Again, the problem with showing this book on the camera like this is it's quite hard to get the lighting quite right. Let me just put that there like that. Hang on. Keeps bending backwards, the thing. Let's see if you can see it a bit better like that, because that'll wash it out a bit, but you should hopefully be able to see there, sort of the construction of them. That gives you some idea, actually, looking at that picture, how sort of deep below the ground they are, in a sense. Right, I'm getting rid of the person that's definitely asking dumb questions on purpose. Because, yeah, there comes a point where if somebody asks 5 questions they already know the answer to, they're blatantly doing it to be annoying. But yeah, it's also showing there how there's actually bricks outside of the concrete as well, which you can see. Is it that one there? Yeah. But yes, hello everybody joining. Yeah, let me find the one I was showing about the water damage anyway, because that was the one that's if you mean the video I've made that's probably got the most likes and views, that would be Scariest Gas Mask. There you go, and look, there's one of those behind me right over there. If I move my arm. Although, again, that's just British radiation monitoring equipment. But and they've got obviously all the PDRM82 type stuff in here. But yeah, let me find the thing that. See if I can find that water damaged one again, because that was interesting. Like the flooded one that they then. There we go. Right, so. So there's one that's flooded halfway up. So you can see how high the water level is there. That's it after it's drained out, where you can see all the water damage. And then that's it after restoration, which looks bloody good. Oh, look, Mike, there's a dartboard there, although it's not the right height, is it? But that's obviously because it's just there on the table rather than being on the wall. No, I did not know that Brighto, but I don't listen to any of his music, so. But yeah, so I just thought, yeah. But I suppose, again, that's Mike, that's because, yeah, they've not hung it up on the wall there, have they, ready to use it? I wonder if you've got enough room down in an ROC post to play darts properly. I assume so, if you'd, like, set the room up properly for it. That's interesting. There's somebody there actually doing a concrete repair of one. So yeah, one where it was completely, like fucked up by vandals, and then when he bought it, he did all the proper restoration of it. Restored all the damaged concrete, and then says, put a better hatch on it so people couldn't break in. Yeah, it's quite a good comparison there of like before and after. But yeah, so there's it trashed on the inside there, and then there's another one after restoration. That one there, which I think might be the one on the back cover of the book, and obviously where they've redone all the concrete around it there. Yeah, they're definitely bigger than your bedroom, Mike, because they're bigger than this room. I did somewhere see what the exact dimensions are, but they're definitely bigger than most people's bedrooms. Because again, it's like one of those things where if you organise the space well, you can fit a hell of a lot of stuff in them. In terms of sort of, especially like lengthwise, if you think, 'cause obviously, yeah, if you have the bunk bed against that wall, it's a bit longer than the bunk bed, but not massively longer. But yeah, in terms of depth to it, you could fit 2 lots of bunk beds in that way. Um, so the atom tag, that's the one that's like the a bit like, it's a Geiger counter one, a bit like the spectrometer, isn't it? That charges up via Bluetooth. Well, you can buy in-date filters on a lot of sites. It depends if you want actual military ones or just industrial ones. Yeah, I like it. The only thing, Visa, with it, because again, the other one links to my phone. The only thing with that one I don't like so much is how it charges. Because for some reason it doesn't charge via like USB-C or USB micro. It charges via like a headphone jack, which is a really weird way of charging it. So if you lose the cable, I imagine it'd be quite a bit harder to find a USB to 3.5mm jack, like charge cable for it. And I don't like the on-off switch in it, because it's one where the on-off switch, you have to poke it with the headphone jack as you put it in and out to get it to turn on or off. So it's quite hard sometimes to turn it on or off. If you've accidentally turned it on or off and you're trying to do it the other way around. The other one I definitely prefer in terms of what's the bloody name of it? The radio code. That one is yeah, the radio code is definitely a bit more user friendly, I would say. But yeah, it's like the atom tag in theory is quite good. It's just there's a couple of weird design choices, but I imagine it's one of those things where they probably do a later model at some point that fixes most of those. Yeah, I just don't really get why they used a headphone jack for it. Military filters, you're just going to have to see if you can find a listing where it states they're still in date, because for the most part, military filters aren't sold as surplus if they're still in date. I'd assume Joker a fair bit, seems that's what a lot of the videos on the channels are about, but you know. And XXC, unfortunately, not on a live stream because of YouTube policy. Because there's a Galil down there I'd just love to pick up and wave around, but no, that would get the video taken down, so no, I can't. I want to actually find out where that one is from the front cover, though, on this one, because I don't think it actually says. Unless that one shows up somewhere again in the book, it probably does. Yeah, I just have to look for every single one in the book, I guess, to find that picture that's on the front. posted in there again somewhere. Ah, there we go. Right. So there's the same picture. Okay, let's work out where that is then. So does it say like previous page? Previous page, Barmouth post of the North Wales coast. Ah, so it's so that's one that's thankfully apparently not really been vandalised much. But yeah. So that's interesting. So it's Barmouth, apparently, that one. Ah, that gives you a good idea of the size of the room with the door closed there, Mike, where you're on about the size of the sort of room. Yeah, width-wise, they're not too bad either, actually. It's probably as wide as this room, it's just they're longer. Yeah, they're weird-looking masks, aren't they, the cold weather masks? There's another one there, but it doesn't look as cool as the Soviet one. This is just Face Mask Extreme Cold Weather Mark II Flame Resistant, the British one. But the British one looks more like a plague doctor-y sort of mask. Let me show you this one on, because I don't think I've actually put it on the video before this one. I'll do a video actually properly on the cold weather masks at some point, but yeah, that's the British one, which again isn't very comfortable. Yeah, so that's the weird sort of plague doctor-y nose on this one, but assume it would keep your face warm, but you know, it's kind of weird thing to be wandering around with outside in the cold to test it. Right, let me put my glasses back on so I can actually read the chat. See you, Bright, off. You're off. Have a good exam tomorrow, whatever it is. I need to check the listing sites now we're into November and see if any of them have any new listings on there for ROC posts. Right, no new ones on unique property for sale. Let's try the other one. Unique property bulletin. It's annoying because there's one that keeps coming up on one of them, but it's sold, and I wish they'd remove the listing from the front page because it's sold. Because every time I go on there, I see this one. I'm like, oh, this looks good, but it's sold. So you know, this was one in Norfolk that sold for 18,000. I'd definitely pay 18,000 for it. Oh, yeah, this is the one where they partially finished restoring it. Because yeah, it had got a like shower in it. The person who built it. And it was freehold as well, which obviously means that, you know, you actually own the thing. Let me just check the other similar ones. Oh, no, it says they're both sold. Oh, that's a shame. ROC posts always seem to sell, though, because I guess for the money, they're pretty good for what they are. Yeah, weirdly, vlogger Erin, there's a lot of people around the world that apparently like my channel. Oliver, I could afford to buy one now if a cheap one comes up. But again, it's one of those things I'm just going to have to keep putting more and more money into until one comes up that's within my price thing. The problem is at the moment, like I said, I've not even seen any come up for sale recently, but I think a lot of them tend to come up for sale in the winter or just after the winter, because that's when they're more likely to flood or need repairs done. So if somebody owns them and at that point, they're more likely to say, oh, actually, I might get rid of this. Because obviously they're one of those things where in the summer, they're much easier to kind of maintain. Or, like, you know, you don't really have to do anything to maintain it in the summer. But like lots of things, you know, the winter is where like freezing and all that will start causing damage to the concrete or whatever, where you have to fix it. As far as I know, there's no issues with S10 filters. I think early ones might have used fiberglass as a particulate layer, so you don't want to inhale that. But you know, it's not like something where you have to worry about it simply being there. At the moment, AK, it's pretty much fine, I think. Well, it's probably not fine, but you can drive into any station and pretty much fill up. They do have a sump, Visa, but again, if nobody's in there, the sump's not going to do much. Hang on, let me show you. There's probably a diagram in here of the sump in the very early page. But the sump is where the ladder is. So... Right, okay, this picture shows you where the sump is. So if you see there, the sump is there. And then the pneumatic system for draining the sump outwards is sort of just runs up that wall. But yeah, the problem is obviously if somebody just buys one and then leaves it locked up for months on end, that's not going to contain enough of the water, especially if it's leaky. All right, punches, couches. Because yeah, the point with the sumps and that in them is if you're in them and they start flooding, they're absolutely fine. You can easily pump it out at the speed of which it needs to be used, and the sump can also be used, so in fallout conditions, you can dump your chemical toilet in the sump and then pump it out. Yeah, thankfully with these Visa, they've got a system for getting it out, so it's not just like a toilet pit in them sort of thing. Yeah, with these, they actually have a proper pneumatic system for getting them out. The problem is, it's just, if nobody's in it for months, because bear in mind, when they were used, there would always be somebody on station back during the Cold War. So that was never an issue. But yeah, the issue seems to be now, obviously, the older they get, and if nobody's, maintaining them, or if they've been vandalized, some people buy them, don't really do anything with them. And then, the winter is when they start realizing, oh, it might be flooding, or getting damp in it or whatever else. And that's when typically, like I say, it's this time of year or sort of going into the first half of next year, I imagine now I might see some more for sale. Because like I said, I think that's when you end up getting a lot of people that realize, oh, I can't just buy it and it will look after itself without doing any work to it. Right, there's a German World War II gas mask over there, which is hanging up on my wall, but I can't really get that down easily because I'm sat down. I'm too lazy at the moment because I'm reading the comments. You could just watch my videos on it. I'll have a look, Stoic Jedi. That's a very good price at the moment. I imagine it will go a lot higher, but I will have a look, so thank you for mentioning it. But yeah, the only problem is if it's on auction and it's got however long left, most people will just bid snipe at the end. So it's one of those things where, it is probably going to go up. I will have a look and keep an eye on it because, if it doesn't go up much, then that's a good price, isn't it? But I might be able to show you some other pictures of the sump on here. Yeah, it shows you on this one where the sump pipe is, look, as it says sump outflow pipe. So that's like the actual pneumatic pump for the sump. Pump for the sump. That's probably so they don't get scammed, Stoic Jedi, because the problem is if you ship abroad with a lot of things, you're more likely to run into issues of people saying, oh, it got lost in the postal system, give me a refund and all that. It might just be somebody who just wants to sell it and be done with it kind of thing, seeing if I can find Visa a picture of the actual something. Because there's definitely some pictures in here when you can see it quite clearly. All right, here we can go. So yeah, if you look in this one, Visa, in the back corner of it, where the exit door is, can you see the grill on the floor there? I don't know how visible that will be on the webcam. But that bit there. So there's the exit sign, and then there's a metal grill on the floor there. And that's what leads to the sump. So obviously how it's designed is that bit would flood first, and that's just outside the toilet. And then obviously you've got the pump right by where the sump itself is. And if there's a close-up of the close-up of like the outside hatch, you can actually see where the pump bit goes to. Again, you need one at the right angle to actually see it. I've got the mount attached to it, so I can easily put it on that mount if I want to, but I don't leave the night vision on the helmet for safety reasons. I leave the night vision in the padded case. They basically just had jerry cans filled with water down their Visa for the most part. They didn't have their own kind of like storage tank. The bigger government bunkers had their own internal reservoirs, like the Soviet bunkers did. But the ROC posts themselves just literally had jerry cans, as far as I'm aware. You know, like you'd have a load lined up with water in, just so the people could, you know, like, you know, ration it, I suppose, and like, you know, pour a bit out into mugs or whatever. Let's see. There should definitely be a picture somewhere in this book where you can see where like the sump pipe is quite obviously from the outside. Because there's ones here where I can see it in really small detail, but you can obviously get somewhere. It's just getting the right side of the bit being pictured, otherwise you can't see it. That's the problem. Or it's very low res in some of the pictures. All it is basically like a little pipe you can see coming out the side that goes then into the ground. So basically, yeah, the actual ground itself gets all like the poo and the wee and the flood water in it. But yeah, most of the pictures are always at the opposite side, because I think the reason for that is that obviously they were designed so the step you step on to step into the hatch is on the opposite side that all the sewage would come out the sump. Oliver, if you could get planning permission, I'd just build on it, in all honesty. It would really depend on the actual place itself where you buy one. Yeah, it's typical on here, all of the ones where now I'm looking for it, I can't find an obvious one, even though it's annoying because, of course, every time I want to look at something like this, you never know whereabouts it is in the book. Right, what I'll do, because I can't see it obviously, is the only way I can... Yeah, you could definitely have solar panels there. That's the sort of idea. See that bit there? That's the sump's output. So obviously the sump thing runs up the inside of the hatch bit there, comes out the wall, and then it's just running into the ground there. Right, Viking Airsoft? But yeah, it's just one of those annoying things where I can't find a closer up picture to show you. The post I visited that was vandalised still had that bit intact, actually. Yeah, fascinating stuff. But yeah, it's actually an American Stoic Jedi, the one I showed earlier, but the closest I can think to a film where you see something like this in it is The Prowler, which is quite a good horror film not many people know about. But The Prowler had a mask a bit like this in, but I think it's an older generation of them, you know, so it's more like a cloth type one rather than it being sort of leathery. But yeah, The Prowler has a bloke with like a USM-1 helmet on it and like one of those sort of masks under it. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it, Oliver? Because they'd probably be quite efficient at that. But yeah, I suppose, like you're saying, it's the actual military ones rather than the ROC ones. Well, most forms of power down would be a bit redundant once the shit's hit the fan, because you're going to run out of gasoline or diesel eventually, aren't you? Hand crank would be the best thing, really. I need to get around to doing the video on the hand crank generator I bought because it's quite interesting. But yeah, the most of this stuff is not me planning for post-apocalyptic stuff. It's looking at how fucked the UK housing market is and finding somewhere else you can live. Yeah, how efficient these are like little wind turbines, like not the giant ones, but you know, if you had a relatively small one that's just on a pole, I suppose that would produce a bit of electricity, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll get the video done on it for Friday, Flazzy, because at the moment I've got loads of stuff I've bought recently or surplus I keep meaning to review and I've not got round to it. So yeah, Friday I'll do the hand crank video because it's the one that Tactical Pirate recommended me and I do really like it because the good thing with this one I've bought is there's like an overvolt protection switch. So if you're charging up something that's 3 volt, 3 volt or whatever, you can set it to 3 volt, and no matter how fast you crank it, it won't output more than 3 volt. Whereas, you know, you can set it, I think, up to 12 or 15 volts, this crank, but to get 15 volts, you'd have to really crank it really fast. Because I'll show in the video when I do it, but I did test it with, what do you call it, you know, like an ampere sort of voltmeter type thing, you know, a multimeter. And yeah, it is very close to what it's meant to be for the cut-offs when you do it. And I was trying, you know, going slower and faster, and the voltmeter was still reporting a consistent voltage. But yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm sure they're all right, these for giving a bit of energy. It's just, again, it depends how you're using them, doesn't it? Yeah, and again, let it pick it. That's a good point. But yeah, but like I'm saying, I'm not really preparing for that at all. It's just that, you know, I'm just thinking more of if housing is completely unaffordable now and they're putting even more bills on top of housing with like these horrible heat pumps and that, surely living in a cold nuclear bunker underground is a lot more efficient now. Thanks, Greta. Yeah, it is a Chinese one. I've got all of them. It's quite good, but yeah, I'll do a video on it because it's got a USB output in it, and it's also got like just positive and negative outputs. You know, where you can wire, you know, the wires in manually for something. ATV with Kurt says, "Can you say my name?" So is that all-terrain vehicle? Yeah, because obviously the big ones that require a lot of maintenance, but they can generate a lot of electricity. But the issue is, I think, with wind turbines, isn't it, that you have to have them essentially turned off if it's too windy, and when it's not very windy, they're not going to generate much electricity at all. Yeah, I did look that one up, Stoic, when you mentioned it, and like, yeah, there's a lot of masks that look like that now, aren't there? Like I was saying, there's the Chinese are like doing a style of mask like that as well. But yeah, it is quite good. It's you could certainly charge up, all right, Joshua. You could certainly charge up power banks with it and like your phone battery quite easily if you're willing to, spin it for long enough. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things where obviously bear in mind that because a lot of people forget this, if you've got a hand crank generator, you want to really charge up batteries with it or something that uses batteries. You don't want to be constantly turning it to keep like a light bulb turned on. Because you can obviously do that if you want to, but it's a bit pointless because obviously I don't think anybody would want a ceiling light on only as long as you were turning a thing and then it goes off. It's a lot more efficient to charge a battery and then have something slowly discharge the battery, especially because some batteries charge up faster than they discharge on a light bulb, for example. So that's how you're meant to really use those hand cranks. I've seen proper electronics channels that don't get that, where they're saying like, oh, look how inefficient these sort of, like man-powered generators are. They don't seem to get that they're like an emergency backup kind of generator for just powering something. Because you can power a FM radio or whatever, or a shortwave radio, really easily with a hand crank generator. Because somebody I know has got these are quite common as well, a little radio that has a hand crank thing built onto it, exactly like a hand crank radio. Yeah, and that obviously the radio sounds for a lot longer than you crank it. So, if you cranked it consistently for a minute, you'd probably get 20 odd minutes out of it, even if it was totally flat. So, it's that kind of logic. These things are really good for stuff that doesn't use much battery, or if you want to top your phone battery up a little bit and you have no power supply, they're okay for that. Yeah, the person I know has got one with a solar panel on, but the solar panel on their one doesn't work anymore. So if it's flat and you put it even on a really sunny windowsill, it just does not charge it anymore. But yeah, the one I think they've got has some internal sort of LiPo type battery or something similar. It might not be lithium, but it's some sort of internal, rechargeable battery. And it's, you can either charge it via USB, hand crank, or the solar panel. But the solar panel's broken now. That is actually pretty good though, Visa. So that's similar prices to the solar panel power outputs. So it might be worth me actually, when I've got one of these things. So I want to say when, not if, because I want to keep saving up and getting one when one eventually turns up. I reckon that's one of those things where if you can get one that's reliable and doesn't have many parts, so it's a relatively easy one to replace parts yourself if a bit of it breaks, where you could do it with a step ladder kind of wind turbine. That might be useful along with solar panels, because in the winter you're going to get probably more wind in the UK than you're going to get sunlight. So does your one litter picker actually let you output the voltage as well, rather than only inputting it? That's quite useful if it lets you do that. Because the person that I know who's got one of the little radios themselves, it only has an input charge, not an output charger. Yeah, well, if you were definitely near a stream, Flazzy, hydro is like the best thing possible because water is always going to be flowing from downhill. And it annoys me in the UK that we're an island and they don't invest in a lot more hydro and tidal power. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff like this where I think people, because like the thing I've said before is it annoys me when they try and force loads of things on people that can't afford it, like all these heat pump things at the moment and all that, because we need to get this green target by a certain date, even if China and Russia don't, follow those green targets. That sort of logic. But I think a lot of renewable energy is good kind of from a household perspective, as if you can, spend a bit of money on this, you can massively cut your electricity bills down. Okay, Dan, that sounds quite useful then. That might be something I pick up as well and do a review on at some point, because I do like the idea of one where you actually have a radio that you can also use as a hand crank generator. Yeah, that sounds good, Stoic Jedi. Yeah, we actually have an SSE, saying that, Flazzy, what's it, substation close to me. Oh, that's definitely better than the one the person I know's got litter picker, because the one I know, they basically, it functions just as a radio. You can just charge it in different ways. No, that's fine, Dan. I'm sure I can find it. But like I said, I'll do the video first on that one I've got, that's not a radio, just to show up it working in different ways. But yeah, like I said, Fuzzy, it's a shame though more places in the UK don't use hydro and stuff like that, because it seems silly when you've got the place you can actually use resources, they don't bother with it. But again, I guess a lot of it is like companies getting grants from governments, so they're not going to invest their own money if they can get a big load of cash for something else, because the government says, oh, we'll give you this, friends in the right places and everything. Yeah, there's bits of Wales as well, isn't there, where they get lots of energy from hydro, especially like Snowdonia sort of places, because you've got, again, lots of mountains and hills there where you've got streams that are going to generate quite a bit through gravity of the stream. All right, cool, litter picker. I'll look into that again. But like I said, the thing I want to do the video on first is the hand crank one I've got specifically that works as a hand crank. And I can show it powering certain devices that might interest people, like ones that don't have internal batteries, just to show, if you really needed to use something in an emergency and you didn't mind cranking with one hand, you can get the device to work. What I reckon you could do with a hand crank generator, though, I mean, I know you definitely could do it, is you could probably find a way of actually attaching the mechanism for the crank to something that rotates on its own anyway, like an alternator type system. Because I know some people do it with like bikes, but I was thinking more just, if you just wanted it for like cheaper electricity in your house, if you had something that was constantly spinning in your house anyway, like some sort of fan, you could maybe attach the crank to the fan and then just get a bit more, electricity recycled essentially from the fan motor. Yeah, I might get a proper military one at some point, Oliver. Yeah, well, I always thought, Mike, with how dogs wag their tail when they're happy, they should make some sort of dynamo type thing you can put on a dog's tail, so when they wag their tail, it just generates a bit of electricity charge. They're useful things, though, aren't they, punches, couches? Because, again, I think some people think they can do a lot more than they can actually do. But if you just want something for emergency power, if there's a power cut or, just no grid where you are, they are great for that. Because, again, they are literally, you can charge stuff up with just doing that with your arm. Or, the shake type torch ones use the same logic as well. Because, yeah, I have a hand crank torch somewhere, and that's one that, again, is surprisingly good with an LED bulb in it. That, for doing that with the torch, you can constantly keep it powered and build up a charge. So, without a battery, you could walk around doing that with the torch, get a good amount of light coming off of it, and, when you stop cranking, you'd have some battery life on it relative to, the cranking as well. Anyway, I'll be off now. So yes, Friday I'll definitely do the video because Flazzy's interested in it on the Chinese hand crank generator that Tactical Pirate recommended me. And I can show it like powering Geiger counters and stuff like that because that might interest people. Yeah, like piezoelectric type logic. Yeah, Visa. They could, in theory, make an RTG type thing where the warmth from your hand actually, well, not RTG because it wouldn't be a radioisotope, but a thermoelectric generator on a torch where your hand's warmth powers the torch through a chemical reaction. But yeah, see also, yeah, Friday's video, there won't be a stream tomorrow because I'll make sure I get the video done tomorrow, but Friday's video will be on the hand crank generator and I'll demonstrate it working on various things just to prove that you can do it with them. Because like I said, it annoys me that some channels review these things and don't kind of understand that they're designed for, simple things like radios and, torches essentially. But yeah, right. Yeah, shake torches are good, aren't they? All right, have a good evening, everybody, and I'll see any of you that on Weapon Collector's Twitch stream later on Twitch. All right, see ya.